Baki the Grappler is an interesting ass show. Now, it's a series about buff dudes punching each other very, very hard, right? But despite this fact, it has some seriously surprising pro-feminist, pro-equality, and actually deeply philosophical points to share. Either that or I just need to touch grass, stop reading so much into Malaysian cartoons, and get another hobby. But now's not the time for that kind of introspection because I'm not ready for my midlife crisis yet, and we need to talk about how the conflict between Baki and Mr. Unchained, Biscuit Oliva, tackles some really significant themes in regards to the meaning of freedom and what it means to be a truly free individual. I'm going to go into the discussion assuming that if you're watching this video, you already have some background about Baki the Grappler, who these characters are, so I'm pretty well just going to jump right into it. Biscuit Oliva, aka Mr. Unchained, is set up as being the most free individual in all of Arizona State Penitentiary maximum security prison. Now, if you take one look at the man's living conditions, you'll see that the term locked up is pretty much pure formality, as the man is by far living better than about 95% of the world's population and does damn well whatever he wants to. Biscuit is seen just big chilling in his lower level penitentiary mansion, taste testing the finest wines, eating 10,000 calorie meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, using his motorcycle for random excursions, and he even has the hottest woman in anime history waiting in bed for him every single night. To say that Biscuit is living better than those around him would not even be remotely doing the situation justice. Because of his personal amenities, his ability to come and go as he pleases, and the fact that he has the power to even dictate to the warden who comes and goes to the prison, Mr. Oliva has earned himself the name Unchained and is seen as an absolute free spirit by those whom have encountered him. Now, in this arc of the narrative, the foil to Mr. Oliva is none other than our boy Baki Hanma. Now, Baki enters the penitentiary after kidnapping the president, with no weapons by the way, and telling him that he wishes to be sent to Arizona State Penitentiary to solicit a fight with Mr. Unchained in order to better prepare himself for the final confrontation with his pops, Yujiro. Now, Baki's experience at Arizona State is quite a bit different than Mr. Oliva's. Baki is pretty much treated like an NPC by prison staff, as he should be, stripped naked, fed gruel, bound and threatened, exactly the treatment you would expect to get from evil anime prison guards toward those whom they have power over, right? But the juxtaposition here in treatment is where things start to get interesting, and Baki begins its exploration of its themes of freedom and what it means to be a truly free individual. See, our boy Baki eventually gets impatient and decides that it's time for him to stop waiting for Oliva to accept his invitation to fight and force his hand into doing so. So Baki decides that he's going to show Biscuit that he isn't the only Unchained hiding in Arizona State Prison. Baki is Unchained Jr., and he's quickly coming for the throne. So in a display that can only be described as pure badass anime fiction, Baki escapes Arizona State Penitentiary, barely breaking a sweat, killing no one, and without using any sort of weapons. Then, right before he has the option of walking out and taking his leave, he decides, nope, I'm gonna stay right here. Baki just wanted to show Oliva that he's not as hot as shit as he might have thought he was. And seeing Baki's outstanding and braggadocious display, Oliva comes to confront Baki. Baki proceeds to make an absolute mockery of Biscuit, laughing at him for his decadent and luxurious life in the prison, telling Oliva that he is actually Mr. Chained, because the only way he is able to feel free is if he believes that he is a single individual with the most freedom in the world. This observation and Baki straight up laughing in Oliva's face proceed to haunt him for the next few weeks, to the point where Oliva can no longer enjoy the luxurious amenities of his Arizona State Penitentiary life. And let's be real, how many people are going to be going up to a man like Biscuit Oliva and hitting him with truth bombs like that? Ain't nobody saying nothing to that dude. Who gonna do something about it? Come on. Oliva actually got so shook at one point that he began to bawl into the arms of his lover, arms of his lover, and eventually succumbed to Baki's antagonizing tactics. So what had Oliva so shook? Basically, it was the realization that Baki was right. A man without the use of most of his body due to being in finger cuffs. A man whose head he literally pissed on and made a mockery of because of his lack of physical freedom was in reality more free than Oliva had been for a very long time. Now, Oliva's despair and frustration came from the realization that freedom does not come from physical amenities or privileges, but rather it's a state of being. While Oliva had all the physical luxuries a man could possibly ask for, what was once his source of pleasure had become his chains. Oliva once feverish pursuit for strength had been diluted by extravagance, by fancy suits, excessive dinners, decade-old wines. In reality, All these things did remove him from the gathering strength that he once coveted more than anything in the world into the shallow waters of the chase for temporary worldly pleasures. Constant insistence on only the most pleasurable and finest goods the world can offer leads to a mindset of dependence on those pleasures because of the discomfort that is caused when they are no longer there. It leads to an endless pleasure chase where one is constantly seeking an even finer wine or an even nicer suit or an even more expensive car. If one deeply reflects on these desires, one reaches the conclusion that it's a chase, an endless chase, pretty much a roller coaster ride that one could spend their entire life on and never end up satisfied with. This is why the introduction of Baki, a truly unchained individual, disrupted Biscuit Oliva's piece so much. See, Baki is focused solely on one goal, that being to beat Yujiro Hama's ass. And Baki is deadly serious in the pursuit of this goal. One needs to only look at the obstacles Baki has overcome to increase in strength throughout the series to realize this fact. Baki's willing to do anything and is ready to place his life in mortal danger if it means taking a step closer to being able to stomp out Yujiro. Now, one can make fun of this motivation if they want, but it's truly a pure desire which has led Baki to the gaining his pure strength, which is something that Oliva himself comments on. Using Baki and Oliva as vessels, the narrative showcases a significant truth about desires and strengths as they present themselves in the lives of humans. One can amass significant strength and power in the pursuit of worldly pleasures. This can't be denied, but if one is seeking to become something supremely special, something the world of humans would consider maybe even otherworldly, then this can only be done through pure, unfiltered, deadly seriousness and desire. One must want the thing that you're after with the same intensity that a man who is on fire wants water. And I don't know if this sort of seriousness and desire can be taught, or if it's something that just a few special individuals are born with. But either way, ultimately, that sort of passion will beat out the man interested solely in pleasurable pursuits because the foundation upon which their desire is built is fundamentally less solid than the madman who is willing to go through any lengths to reach his destination. It's only through the path of absolutely maddening seriousness one is able to become truly unchained.